He is shocking everyone. This Cleveland Cavaliers prospect has been putting on a show since the Summer League and is continuing it with the Cleveland Charge in the G League. A lot of fans have been asking, when is this guy going to get pulled up? Can he replace guys at the trade deadline? And that is what I'm here to talk about today, because I believe that Tristan Enuruna absolutely can replace players on our bench, specifically Dean Wade, who's going to be the topic of discussion for replacement by Tristan Enuruna. I hope that's how you say it, Enuruna. This player has been putting on a show. He's been putting on a show since the Summer League. He was a great prospect. A lot of players noticed how good he was, and then he ended up playing in the summer camps, got released, and got signed to the G League, and now he's one of the G League's top players yet again. Killian Hayes is playing well there too, but I want to talk about how I believe that this could be a potential bench player for the Cavaliers in the future if they want to try to win. Matt Palange with Cavs Digest here. So excited to get started. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because just under 72% of you are not subscribed, and that's a lot of people missing out on Cavs updates, Cavs news, Cavs storylines, post-game, pre-game thoughts. Go hit that sub button so you don't miss out on everything, all things Cavaliers. Now, let's talk about Mr. Tristan Enuruna, who is going to be the topic of discussion. You see it. Played with Maine in the G League or in the Summer League. Playing against the Cavs in that, of course. Played for Boston's Summer League team a couple of years ago. Played in the G League. He played with Cleveland State, a local, of course, Cleveland Cavaliers school. Cleveland State University, shout out. I know people that go there, so big dubs. But go Vikings. So he went there, I believe, before he went to Iowa State. So he was a top dog in college. And Cleveland State, he averaged like 18 points per game over the course of multiple seasons. I think he got signed by the Cavs G League team last year and was kept along for Summer League this year and then G League again. And he has just been putting on a show. I'll show you guys the stats, so stay tuned for that. I'll show you guys the stats very, very soon. But essentially, the way this guy plays, you kind of got to see him a little bit in the intro video, but he's super athletic. He crashes so well. He goes for dunk, and he's super physical. He's willing to go hustle. He's willing to go rebound. He's not the quickest player, but he can score on all three levels at a pretty decent level, and he is able to rebound and crash the glass. He's also a pretty solid defender. So keep that all in mind. I'll show you the clip again just to show you guys what, like, this guy's a human highlight reel, yo. This guy would be getting attention of fans as Enuruna goes up and slams it in for two. He would get so much attention on Cleveland for his flashy play style or his flashy dunks. But that's not the biggest thing about him. It's the fact that he can score at a good level from all three levels. It's the fact that he can play defense and that he's super athletic. So we're going to love seeing Tristan play. But now let's kind of dive into his stats. And then in the last half of this video, we're going to talk about the future of Dean Wade and why I think Tristan is the perfect replacement to open up a huge trade deadline for the Cavaliers, because I expect a lot of things to happen with some of the bench depth on this team. So the first thing we're going to talk about Dean Wade later, but we're going to talk about his stats. 19.2 points per game in the G League this year, 5.2 rebounds, 2 rebounds a game, or 2 assists per game. Very, very impressive stat line. As I said, 5.2 rebounds is pretty good. That would be one of the Cavs' top rebounders with how they rebound. That would be like what Lonzo's putting up. That'd be what Jarrett Allen puts up at this point. That'd be what Jarrett Allen puts up. That's kind of sad to say. Subscribe so you can see mock trade about Jarrett Allen tomorrow. That's why you should subscribe, right? The next thing, he's 6'7". This guy is pretty tall. He would be a small forward, power forward. He starts at power forward a lot of times for the Cleveland Charge. That's kind of what it would be, very similar to on the Cavs. He would be the backup power forward, which is what Dean Wade plays, kind of. Dean Wade plays like power forward, and then they put Mobley at the center. They love running that lineup. That would kind of what you see Tristan playing. Again, this isn't directly shaded Dean Wade, this video. This is more about the hype of Enuruna. And he's also 220 pounds. Went to Cleveland State. Go Vikings, of course. Undrafted, but he's just on a 1-year G League contract, and you can make him a two-way player. You could sign him full-time, whatever you want to do. I think that there is some potential there to be signed with the Cavaliers, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So, now we're going to dive more into, now that you see his stats. As I said, rebounding, can score. That's big. So we're going to dive more into the conversation about what fans are saying and why Dean Wade is going to be the best path for Enuruna to be on the main roster to be on the Cleveland Cavaliers roster is going to be through Dean Wade being traded or released at the deadline, which I do not see happening released, but I could see a trade potentially for a one-on-one swap of a backup. I don't know what you would get for Dean Wade. Maybe some picks? Some picks? You guys want some picks? Probably some picks. So, this was from Cavs Rowdy. Shout out Cavs Rowdy. I do love his account. I need this notification tomorrow. Not even tomorrow, today, as well as Dean Wade trade. This wasn't my direct-to-video idea. I've mentioned Dean Wade in the past about how I don't like his playstyle, and I see this tweet from Cavs Rowdy. Big shout out to him. Graphic via Cavs Rowdy as well. He made himself. Shout out. Welcome to Cleveland. Let him know. And it's a picture of Tristan Enuruna. And he says, as well as the Dean Wade trade. So that is where the conversation comes. Where do you find a spot for Enuruna? Because you don't have room. The final spot's going to be solidified at Naquan Tomlin. Dean Wade is where this comes into, because Dean Wade has been a player that has received a lot of attention. And actually, the top comment on this tweet was, oh, the biggest thing I need to see is a Dean Wade gone. So, the way he plays is very, very slouchy. Like, he plays weird. He just plays kind of slow on the offensive side. Now, he is probably, like, a top 5 perimeter defender in the NBA, which it does suck that we're talking so bad about a good defender, but his defense isn't the same as it used to be anyways. And his offensive skill set is useless, and no one likes the way he plays, let's be real. Like, he's just a pure defender, and that's all. And it's not really pleasing to the eye to watch him play, but it's not just about the eye test. You also need to understand that when this guy has no confidence to shoot, doesn't really shoot the ball at all, he's basically just playing defense on whoever the small forward is on the opponent team, and that's really all he's doing. And that's not what you need. We need guys that can rebound. He doesn't rebound that well, even as playing a power forward. I think that he would be the best trade piece for the Cavs. For his stats, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, not even a block, almost more of a steal than a block, fouls twice a game, shoots like crap. Like, you got to think about the minutes. Like, you're playing 22 minutes just to play defense, right? Like, is it that bad? Maybe not. Is it annoying? Yeah. We don't really want this guy. Come on, dude. He's 29 years old. He's exiting his peak. His offensive bag is not there anymore. You're paying a 29-year-old who just plays defense, really, and he's going to only get worse at defense. I know he's good at it. I know, like, what you guys are going to say is plus-minus is good. I don't really care about his plus-minus, because Donovan Mitchell is going to have a minus 70 plus-minus by the end of the year at this point. So I think Dean Wade is the biggest trade piece at the deadline this year, and that's what sucks, because this guy was really, really, really a fan favorite for a couple years, based on the fact that he would come in, he would splash the three. I know you guys remember that Celtics game where he came into the fourth quarter, sparked a bunch of threes in a row, and led a 20-point comeback against the top team and the future NBA champions that year, the Boston Celtics, which is why this is so sad to see that Dean Wade just fell off so easily, because he doesn't have any confidence to score, and you just don't, like, you don't want to see that. He doesn't really want to do anything with the ball. When he touches it, he's useless, and that's why if you bring a guy like Enuruna, I feel like we can all agree on this, I like Naquan Tomlin playing more minutes than Dean Wade at this point already. I love Naquan Tomlin. Why don't you utilize a guy like Enuruna? You never utilize a guy like Bates. The guy Jalen Tyson, who you didn't utilize last year, is arguably one of the Cavs' best players now. So why do teams not take advantage of their G League affiliate? You have some pieces like Tristan Enuruna, who is there scoring who's scoring almost 20 points a game, dunking on people, playing defense, getting boards, that you can at least try out in a main roster game like we did with Naquan Tomlin at the end of the year last year. He broke out. I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but having Enuruna, and this is the biggest conclusion, having Enuruna on your team allows the easiest exit possible for Dean Wade. Because you can trade him for a second. You could trade him for a first. You don't need to trade him for players, and then you just pull up Tristan. Or you pull up Tristan and trade Dean Wade, and already you have something there. You can have Naquan play the 3 or 4. You can have Tristan play the 3 or 4 off the bench. Have Nance play the backup 5. You can have these guys mixing in some playing time. But you should really, really utilize these guys that you have in the G League, because Craig Porter, Jalen Tyson, Amani Bates, Luke Travers. Amani Bates is kind of bad. Luke Travers. I know Amani Bates isn't here anymore either, but think about it. They didn't utilize him, and he ended up getting released, but he sucks. Luke Travers. You have a bunch of guys that looked really, really good in G League that you're just now using, so why don't you do that with Enuruna too? It looks like these are your best players at this point. So that's my video on Tristan Enuruna. I think he's shocking everyone in the G League because every time you see this guy, human highlight reel. So big shout out to Tristan Enuruna, and we'll see if he can come up to the main roster or if Dean Wade, as well as if Dean Wade could be shipped off. That is all from me here on Cavs Digest. I'm Matt Palange, and have a good one.